Welcome back to Mac's Garage. As always, if you like what you see, hit the like, share, subscribe. All that stuff helps me out. I appreciate it. Now that we're done with that, I am standing here with my probably next winter beater up on the hoist. It is a 2012 Ram 2500 with an exploded transfer case, and that's really going to be the subject of today's deal. I've got to figure out how I'm going to get this thing out of here. I looked it over. I think I've got a plan. So I'll pull this in here, kind of show you what I'm thinking, and we'll go from there. Okay, so first of all, even getting this off the trailer, this drive shaft was sliding around or flipping around and hitting stuff. So I need to get rid of that. This is a I think these are T40 fasteners. So I'll just kind of get a T40 on there, smack it with the impact, and hopefully they come loose. Now the problem is going to be back here, because this is going to be super awkward to unbolt and take out of here unless I kind of do a little bit of disassembly beforehand. So I've been looking at it. There's kind of a couple different ways I could go. I could either unbolt this, let that hang, do that stuff, or what I think I'm going to try is I'm actually going to pull the bolts around this, try to separate the two halves of the transfer case section here, and try to slide that out of the chain, and maybe take the front drive shaft part out with that. Once I get that out of the way, then I can get up into the rest of the transfer case stuff and try to get that out of there. Now, the reason I'm trying to take this out today is largely I want to see what the input shaft on this thing looks like and see if it's something I can swap into a different 271 case. Didn't expect it to be like this, but it turns out the 271D, which is the Dodge transfer case, they made a whole ton of these. So the way that you check that is with the assembly number. This one happens to be a 521056. I don't know if there's something up there or not. Doesn't look like it. 49AF. So that is the serial number on this one, or assembly number. I guess the serial number's down under it. That has a factor in which case you get to replace it. And I am not really wanting to spend as much as you have to put a transfer case in this that is the direct bolt-in unit. All right, that said, I'm going to set the camera up. I'll do kind of a time lapse where I take this stuff apart. And once I get the front drive shaft portion apart, we'll reevaluate where we're at, and if I even want to keep working tonight or if I want to finish this up later. That actually went better than I was expecting, other than throwing a ratchet at my own face while trying to take those goddamn Torx bits or Torx bolts out of the front drive shaft where it goes onto the hub or onto the axle. Actually came apart pretty decent. Now I am trying to save the pieces of this transfer case because there is a chance that I buy a remanufactured unit, in which case there is a like $750 core on this unit, and I have to put all the mangled garbage back in there and send that back. I'm going to show you this in a second. Actually, I can talk while I'm showing it to you. All right, so this is a pretty common issue on these Dodge trucks. There's a grease fitting inside of there that does the center ball and this double cardon joint. However, I probably just mispronounced it. But you can maybe see that this comes down here and should go kind of down and out, but it's actually up higher than it's supposed to be. So that drive shaft is no good. Again, there's kind of some red rust and some nastiness in there. My guess is this is probably the failure that took the transfer case out. Although looking at this, like, there's some nastiness to the fluid in that too. This was probably, I don't know, it's probably a double. There's also a chance that broke after the transfer case when that started whipping around in wild ways too. So I guess I'm not really sure, but I would think that it's probably drive shaft failure broke the transfer case. Now that I've got that kind of out of the way, let me get my light set somewhere. Right there. All right. Now that the front output and front drive shaft are out of the way, I'm going to start going at the back part. After I get this out, I'm going to try to do something to keep rust and corrosion out of the main transmission housing, but basically be done. So up next, I've got wiring connector right here, vent right, you probably, let's see if I can get a camera in there. Yeah, the vent goes in right here, and then the shifter linkage right here. So what I'll have to do is, actually I'll probably just set the camera up just like that, and you can see all of it in detail. So I usually just use a pair of channel locks, or I have these Kimpex, Nippex, however you say them. I grab at an angle, push in on the back side, and what that does is that pops that rod down through. I can just kind of lay it off to the side. The connector probably has a, yep, it's a push connect right there. So that pops off. It's only got 2 wires. The hose clamp, again, use the same pliers. Haven't even taken them out of my hand yet. This thing is real grimy. Take the hose clamp loose, but it doesn't really want to move on this hose for some reason. Okay, once you get that loose, then sometimes you can just kind of grab the hose with the pliers, twist it. Once it twists, it breaks the seal, and then it comes right off. Okay. Then I'm not sure if there's any more sensors up here that I can't see, so I'm just gonna reach up on top. That's an O2 sensor. That's not going to the transfer case. I do believe that's it. They used to have output speed sensors on the transfer case, but they've kind of gone away from those. So from there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out the bolts or the nuts that are coming off of here. I think there's one that's going to really suck to get at. Yeah, probably a couple. Okay. Yep. So I got one that there's a bracket in the way. I may have to get the tranny jack up. Yeah, let me just grab this. Okay, so on these I'm looking at it. Here's the Here's the transfer case. Looking up towards the transmission now. Right up in where I'm shining the light, there's a nut, at least one. I actually think there's two that are going to be captured or covered by this trans mount. So I am going to have to take that loose. I've got to figure out how I'm going to do that. Looks like just 4 bolts there. 3 bolts, 3 or 4 bolts. Yep, 4. Okay, so I got 2 on this side, 2 on this side. I'm going to have to take those loose, pull the... I shouldn't need to pull the trans cross member, but I'll have to pull these bolts out of the mount as well. Looks like there should only be 2 of those. And then I'll get this whole mount assembly out of here, at which point I'm going to get my transmission jack, put it underneath the pan, which is also super grimy, and kind of go from there. Yeah, so that's next step. Remove tranny mount, then start undoing those. I think it's 6 bolts, might be off on that. So I'm going to do a time lapse on this too. I guess that's it for this video. The transfer case pieces are out. As usually happens with transfer cases, I spent 95% of my time on one bolt. It's that bolt that caused me to have to remove the trans cross member and all that stuff. Um, it is what it is. There's always one that really sucks to get at, and usually it's the same one. It's the one that's kind of top to the passenger side. And that's it, I guess. I'm not going to tear into this tonight. I do kind of want to see what the input shaft looks like, what kind of condition it's in, how it splines into all the stuff, and do a little bit more research, because there are different cost levels on this 271D, and to be real honest, I'd like to have the lowest amount of money that I can possibly have into this truck. So I'll look into that. Maybe I put this input shaft out of this transfer case into another one. Maybe I just buy a remanufactured. Maybe I go junkyard. That stuff I've got to sit down and think about over the next however long I have to do that. Yeah. So again, as always, hit the like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you later.